Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my videos. Jesse Lingard is leaving Manchester United. We have confirmed he is allowed to leave the club. Now West Ham are leading the race. It says West Ham are set to sign Jesse Lingard on loan until the end of the season. And I think he wants to go to West Ham. It also mentions from Sky Sports that West Brom have inquired about getting him. Sheffield United and Newcastle have also been interested in him. It said quite a few weeks ago that Jesse Lingard's representatives were talking with Nice, then Nice pulled out. Villa at one point were in for him. It said towards the end of last year that Celtic and Rangers were in for him. So yeah, a lot of clubs have been in for Lingard. Lingard wasn't part of the squad for the game against Liverpool in the FA Cup. But Solskjaer actually did say earlier on this month that he wanted Jesse Lingard to stay at the club. Lingard lost his place in the team a while ago. He hasn't played for us in the Premier League since July. He's played in 2 Carabao Cup games this season and he played in the FA Cup third round against Watford. We did trigger that 1-year extension on his contract. Lingard has made 133 appearances for Man United in the Premier League and he scored around 18 goals. So that's the breaking news on him. Now I want to delve into some news on Jadon Sancho. So according to Sport 1, we have a major boost in our pursuit of Jadon Sancho. Borussia Dortmund are relying on Jadon Sancho's sale. I think they're going to have to be forced to lower their demands because Borussia Dortmund are expecting losses of £88 million with the coronavirus pandemic. And Dortmund are expecting him to leave in the summer. Now, the other week, Raphael Hoggenstein, who's a German football expert, he said that Sancho's move to Man United in this window is possible, but it is unlikely. And he was saying that negotiations could resume in spring. Earlier on this season, Sancho made an admission saying that he has enjoyed a difficult season at Dortmund. He's been doing well recently though. Borussia Dortmund's CEO explained why he was enjoying a difficult season because he was expected to join us last summer. Sancho was our number 1 priority target last summer. Borussia Dortmund's valuation was £108 million. We was not willing to meet that valuation. But it did say a few times last summer that the personal terms had been agreed and the agent fees had been agreed. It also said that a contract had been agreed. And Fabrizio Romano, who is a very reliable Italian journalist, he's spoken about the Sancho saga quite a few times. Bill's Christian Falk's spoken about it. Dortmund made it clear to us last summer that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We obviously missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Dortmund. Analysing the vast majority of Sancho's career at Dortmund, he's been very, very consistent. This is his 4th season now with Dortmund. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2023. Dortmund paid just £8 million for him from Man City back in 2017. He enjoyed a couple of years at Man City. The main explanation he left Manchester City is because he didn't get assured any first team opportunities. And before he was at City, he was at Watford. He was at Watford from the age of 7 to the age of 14. But France Football said the other week that Dortmund are looking for replacements, and it actually said that Dortmund had identified their replacement. So maybe we could get him for maybe 60, 70, 80 million pounds this year. So that's the breaking news on Jadon Sancho. Earlier on in this window, Solskjaer gave us an update on our January transfer plans, and he said that January signings are unlikely. But he admits there could be further more departures. So looks like Jesse Lingard is on his way out of the club. Timothy Fosu-Mensah, he left earlier on in this window to join Bayer Leverkusen. Solskjaer has confirmed that Sergio Romero and Marcus Rojo are free to leave the club in this window, because he said that their contracts won't be extended. Phil Jones, I want him to leave the club. Odin Igalo will leave. His loan expires at the end of this month. Dan James, there's been rumours of him going because Daniel James has lost his place in the team, and there's obviously been rumours of Brandon Williams going out on loan, and now apparently West Ham want Brandon Williams, not just Jesse Lingard. You know, Williams is our third choice left back following the arrival of Alex Telles. And I think more players could leave Man United in the summer. This January transfer window is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 5th transfer window as Man United manager. And I've named the 3 areas where I think Man United need to strengthen up. I think we need a striker, we need a world-class midfielder, and we also need a centre-half. I think we're looking to make around 4 signings this year to complete our squad overhaul. But Woodward has promised that he will back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Even when we endured them bad periods under him, you know, he still assured that Solskjaer's job was safe. And don't forget, he did say towards the end of last year, he will back Solskjaer with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. Because I think the transfer window Solskjaer's endured so far at Man United, you know, he hasn't been backed enough by the board. Don't get me wrong, you know, he has made good signings as Man United manager. He's spent over £200 million at the club, you know. In the summer of 2019, he brought Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. In January of last year, he brought Bruno Fernandes in and Odin Igalo in on loan. And in the summer transfer window of last year, he brought Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Facundo Palestri and Amad Diallo Traore. But, you know, these players that, you know, he's wanted to get and obviously hasn't got them players in. But I think the board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years, and this is why a lot of Man United fans have been demanding the board out. You know, Woodward's been with us since 2012. The Glazers have been with us since 2005. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is making very, very good progress now. You know, we're top of the Premier League. There's a good chance we can win the Premier League this season. You wouldn't have expected us to be in this position with how poor we was earlier on in the season. Solskjaer has been playing mind games though in recent weeks. he said prior to the game against Burnley that we must stay humble and not think we've cracked it if we go top. He said after our 1-0 win against Wolves earlier on this season that we're not in the title races yet, but if we are still challenging in March, he'll start to believe we're in the title race. If we win the Premier League, then I can assure he's the long-term manager for Man United, and it would be a remarkable achievement to win it. If we do win the league, it will be our first Premier League title since 2013 and our 21st overall. Solskjaer knows how important it is to get his first trophy on the board as Man United manager, because we haven't won a trophy for just over 4 years now. But there's 3 trophies we can pursue this season: the Premier League, the FA Cup and the Europa League. I think performances are also improving. Certain players are improving. Paul Pogba, he's been in a good vein of form. Edison Cavani has delivered the goods since he came in. Bruno Fernandes is playing really, really well. Shaw's really, really improved under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. You've got De Gea getting back to his best. You've got Fred that's enjoyed good games this season. Rashford, he's improved under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. But I've already gone through with you what we need to do to secure the title. And obviously, good performances have got to persist. And obviously, we've got to keep players in form. Got to start beating more of the big teams. And, we did recently beat Liverpool, which was good. We haven't been great against the top 6 sides this season. And I think we need to make at least one more signing. We are into the FA Cup, 5th round. We do play West Ham. Solskjaer got us to the EFL Cup semi-final earlier on this season. We lost that to Manchester City 2-0. That was disappointing. I think Solskjaer's decision-making is also starting to improve. There has been games where he's showed tactical flexibility, but there's also been a lot of games where he's been tactically naive. But yeah, I think Man United do deserve credit for sticking with Solskjaer, because he could have easily been sacked. He was lucky not to be sacked with how poor he was earlier on in the season, and he was lucky not to be sacked at the first part of last season, because then we enjoyed our worst start for 30 years in the Premier League. But I think Solskjaer is on course to earn himself a new contract, reflecting on the progress he's made. I think he's more than halfway through his 3-year deal. But Solskjaer has received a lot of criticism at Man United, especially earlier on in the season, reflecting how inconsistent we was. But with how good we've been in recent months, our perceptions have started to change on him. This is his 2nd full season at Man United. Reflecting now on he's been at the club, he has gained some managerial experience. Man United is the 3rd club in his managerial career. Before he was with us, he was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And before Molde, he was at Cardiff, and his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. He got Cardiff relegated. So he hasn't got that proven pedigree as a manager. He's been a Man United manager now over 2 years. He's managed over 100 games as Man United manager in all competitions. We did appoint Solskjaer in December 2018 to replace Mourinho, and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. We're given the job permanently, reflects on what he did in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager. When Solskjaer got appointed in, he knew that it was going to be a massive job. He knew that obviously he had to make the right signings, and like I mentioned earlier, he has made good signings, but obviously hasn't got all the players that he wanted in. He knew he had to get rid of the deadwood, and to his credit, he has got rid of a lot of the deadwood. You know? But the vast majority of his team is Jose Mourinho's. There's only, few players here now from Louis van Gaal era. There's only one player here from the Moyes era, and there's only two players here now from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. We've been very, very good away from home in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year now. We are unbeaten in our last 17 Premier League away games. We equalled the record from the 98-99 season. Now, if we beat Arsenal at the weekend, we would have broken that record. We've come from behind as well in a lot of games this season. So, reflecting on that, Solskjaer's bringing the old Man United back, and we are getting glimpses of the Sir Alex Ferguson era. Like I've said to you on my recent videos, no one's going to last as long as Ferguson did, and no one's going to, achieve what Ferguson did. Ferguson endured 27 years at Man United. He won a total of 38 major honours, including 13 Premier League titles. Ferguson didn't settle in straight away, though, because he didn't win out in his first 4 years. If he'd have been sacked within that first 4 years, the club wouldn't have hardly had any success, because our success came under Sir Alex Ferguson. But it's just good now to see consistency, because I didn't see it for a long time. 3 managers have been sacked since Ferguson, and that was David Moyes, sacked him after 10 months. He enjoyed the shortest tenure at the club, and we finished 7th under the David Moyes era. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season. We've got players on big contracts at the club. We spent big on players in recent years. Paid 89 million for Pogba. He's our most expensive signing. Paid 80 million for Harry Maguire. He's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment. Paid 52 million for Fred. We paid 75 million for Lukaku back in 2017. You know, 50 million for Pasaka, 40 million for Matic. So there you go. And since Ferguson left, we spent over £1 billion on players and brought around, 36, 37 players in. And we have made mistakes since Ferguson left, and that's probably one of the main explanations why, we were so inconsistent for so long. It's just good that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer outlasts Frank Lampard. It was official yesterday that Chelsea sacked Frank Lampard after 18 months in charge. A lot of Chelsea fans don't agree, with them sacking Frank Lampard. They believe he should have been given more time. But we're Chelsea, like 8th or 9th in the league, and, Chelsea did good recruitment last year. They must have spent nearly £300 million, or was it £300 million? But yeah, they've got Thomas Tuchel in as their replacement, and Thomas Tuchel, by the way, has been speaking about Solskjaer because he's actually gone against Solskjaer 3 times. That's when he was PSG manager. Like I say, there is good players at Manchester United. Now, I do think that Donny van de Beek is a good player. That's when he plays. It was good to see him involved in the game against Liverpool in the Cup, but I thought he was quiet in that one. Solskjaer had a meeting with Donny van de Beek not so long ago. Solskjaer has promised Donny van de Beek more game time at Man United. Solskjaer, prior to the game against Liverpool, made an admission about Donny van de Beek, and he said that he is unhappy with his lack of game time. ESPN recently said that we rejected several loan offers for Donny van der Beek. We're blocking him from leaving in this January transfer window. Donny van der Beek seldom starts in the Premier League. He's only started 2 games in the league, and that was West Ham and Southampton. Most of his appearances come from the bench. We got Van der Beek in a deal worth £40 million. You know, we paid £35 million up front with £5 million in add-ons, and he's under contract on Man United till 2025. Van der Beek can play in like 3 different roles. You can put him as a box-to-box midfielder. That was his predominant position at Ajax, and a lot of United fans are saying that he should be put as a box-to-box midfielder. You can also put him as a number 10, and you can also play him out wide. He actually started in number 10 against Liverpool. Ronald de Boer actually urged Donny van der Beek to leave to boost his chances for the Euros, and Edwin van der Sar, the Ajax CEO, was talking about him not so long ago. And he says he was speaking to people at Man United about Van der Beek, and he says Man United remain confident that Van der Beek will be a success at Old Trafford. So yeah, he needs to be given more chances. Now, Paul Pogba, I think he's doing very, very good. Since he came back from that ankle injury that he had earlier on in the season, his performances have been good. Paul Pogba was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury, and he did have a minor injury not so long ago. Now, I think there's a chance that Paul Pogba will now stay at Manchester United, potentially past the summer. Because it said after the Fulham game that Paul Pogba is considering making a U-turn at the club. And he contradicted Mino Raiola, his agent, for the second time. Paul Pogba could even sign a long-term contract at Man United. I think a decision is going to be made over his future at the end of the season. Don't forget, Mino Raiola told 2 Sport back in December that his client's career is over. He said he's unhappy and he has to leave, and he's got no intentions of signing a new contract. Obviously, Solskjaer was furious with Mino Raiola's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on Paul Pogba's contract, so Pogba's under contract with the club until June 2022. Don't forget, he did give an interview to Sky Sports, Paul Pogba, prior to the game against Liverpool in the league, and he made an admission saying that we're not on Liverpool's level as yet, but he says we can win the Premier League, and he was talking about his frustration of being on the bench. Solskjaer said earlier on this season, by the way, that Pogba can be convinced to stay at the club if the club win trophies. Now, this is Paul Pogba's, 5th season since he rejoined. He's made over 100 appearances for us in all competitions. He's won 3 trophies at the club. That was the Europa League, the League Cup and the Community Shield. We had him when he was a lot younger under Ferguson, but we had to let him go due to limited appearances. You know, paid £89 million for him. And, you know, he has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been linked with a move to PSG. He said the other week that Mino Raiola was talking with PSG, and it said Pochettino identified Paul Pogba as his top target. He's been relentlessly linked with a return to Juventus, and swap deals have been high on the agenda, and Real Madrid have been relentlessly linked with him. Now, it said the other week that we'd revealed our asking price for Pogba. We want £75 million. And Fabrizio Romano said that Paul Pogba will leave in the summer, providing that an agreement is reached. Recently in the league, we've been putting him in more of an advanced role, and to be fair, he looks very effective there. I think Fred's good, like I mentioned. I think he's really improved under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. You know, he's showed good attacking intent. He breaks up the play well. I think the only thing he needs to work on is the reading of his game. You know, Fred's been at the club now a few years. Got him in a deal worth £52 million from Shakhtar Donetsk a few years ago. I think McTominay is a good player when he wants to be. Certainly his best game in a Man United shirt was the 6-2 win against Leeds, because he scored twice in that game and he also got an assist, and he did very well in the game against Watford in the FA Cup third round. Scored in the 5th minute of that one. McTominay has been part of the club for several years. And was it just after the first lockdown last year, he signed a 5-year contract with Man United. Bruno Fernandes, he's an exceptional player. He's our best player, and he's the best signing we have made since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. We have overplayed Bruno Fernandes. You know, Bruno Fernandes has come out and said that he does not need a rest. You know, he's actually saying the same thing as what Solskjaer said prior to the Fulham game, because prior to the Fulham game, Solskjaer defended Bruno Fernandes and denies that he needs a rest. Bruno Fernandes has been at Man United now almost a year. You know, he won Player of the Month for December. You know, he's won that now quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. In most of his games, he's been very consistent. There's only been the odd couple of games where he has looked off the pace. But yeah, he predominantly plays as a number 10. I think Mason Greenwood's good. You know, he's still very young, got a lot of development in him. He actually did well against Liverpool recently. Got his name on the score sheet and also got an assist, and he did have a early half chance. But I haven't really had much of a perception on Greenwood this season, because obviously he's been in and out of the team, and earlier on in the season he had illness. He was out with injury at one point and he had personal issues. Ollie's been defending him though a lot this season. This is his second season in our senior squad, and at the start of this season we give Mason Greenwood that number 11 shirt. I think Marcus Rashford is also a very good player. Really improved under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. Rashford's been part of the club for several years. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. And since then, he has become an integral part of our team. Rashford can play out wide and he can play centrally. I prefer him out wide though, that's where he's more effective. He did well in the game against Liverpool in the Cup recently. You know, got his name on the score sheet and also got a lovely assist, because it was a lovely threaded ball through for Mason Greenwood. The bad news is that Rashford sustained a knee injury towards the end of the game against Liverpool. Solskjaer provided us with an update on it. He mentioned that he was going to be having a scan today. So hopefully the injury is not too severe. Edinson Cavani, I think he's done very well since he's come in. Delivered the goods. You know, Cavani can score goals. He can create chances. His movement in and around the box is good. Some of his link-up play is good as well. Not so long ago, he was serving a 3-match ban, was Edinson Cavani, you know, for the racist comment he'd put on social media back in December. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirmed he had apologised for that. Solskjaer said though earlier on this season that Cavani's definitely a starter. He said that we're already looking to extend his contract, and he revealed the first thing that Cavani asked him when he came in, and that's whether he could wear the number 7. You know, I think Anthony Martial can be good when he wants to be. Hasn't proven that a lot though this season, because he has been out of form. He has had, you know, chances, but he just hasn't converted them. You know, Martial was good though last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. You know, a lot of United fans have said now that Martial needs to be dropped. You know, Martial's been at the club now for over 5 years. And Ollie was the one that gave Martial that number 9 shirt. Like I said, we'll also keep Luke Shaw because he's really improved. Surprisingly, still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Alex Telles. You know, Alex Telles hasn't played as much as we all expected him to be honest with you. But don't forget, at one point he did have COVID. You know, Harry Maguire, you know, he's been good, but he still wasn't worth the £80 million that we got him for. You know, Eric Bays played very well since he started playing again. So these good players at Man United. On my next video, I'll be giving you my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference ahead of the game against Sheffield. So anyway guys, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon.